Hi, welcome to Unapologetic Badasses, the online series. My name is Valerie Fuentes. I'm your host, and today I'm with Supriya Surrender. She's actually known as Baldy Boo on Instagram, one of my favorite accounts. And I also have to say that I could really identify myself with the things that you write on your blog. I know it's not like regularly, but like every time you put something out, I'm like, yes. So thank you so much for like using that outlet and like really putting yourself out there and sharing your story.
Of course.
And thank you for being here, obviously, and accepting my invitation. So
Yeah, I'm
I would
so
love
excited.
for you to share your journey, like from the beginning, what happened, what brought you here.
Sure. So, as you can probably tell, I have alopecia universalis. I do have a little bit of regrowth right now, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I have total hair loss other than my eyelashes and a little random hair on my knees, which is weird. But in 2013 is actually when alopecia first entered my life. I was in a Target dressing room, and in those dressing rooms, they have those mirrors where you can see yourself at every angle. And my hair in a ponytail, and I noticed a spot on my head. And so I went to the doctor and I asked about it, and they said it was probably alopecia. So I went to a dermatologist, and they did some steroid injections, which is pretty common with alopecia. Hair grew back, everything was fine. Then in 2015, and actually it was May of 2015, so it was 5 years ago exactly, I was just getting ready for work and noticed a pile of hair in my hands, which I've always been a shedder. I'm Indian, I've always been very hairy, so shedding was never anything abnormal, but this seemed more than usual. Mm-hmm. And then I started to notice that it wouldn't stop. All day long, my hair was falling. Anytime I ran my hands through my hair, I would just get piles of hair in my hands, to the point where I didn't even realize I had that much hair because I was losing so much. And I'm like, how do I even have any left? Right. So I went back to the dermatologist, and he said I was in the midst of an alopecia flare-up, and there was a chance I could lose all my hair. So it was crazy, so scary, so devastating. So I started doing all of these experimental treatments. They put me on prednisone, they put me on methotrexate, all of these things. I was so desperate to keep my hair, And they tell you when you're losing your hair like that, the best things you can do is not stress. But when your hair is falling out in chunks, what can you do? So it was really devastating, and that went on for about 3 months. And I held on to every last strand. I looked like Gollum from Lord of the Rings with just a couple rogue pieces of hair left. And finally, the end of July, I shaved off what was left, which was basically nothing. And that's when I started wearing a wig. And since then, I haven't had hair since then, other than what's happening right now, which is strange. But it was a very devastating time. I've dealt with anxiety and depression my entire life. Mm-hmm. And at that point in my life, I was healing from a really difficult breakup and a really difficult 3-year relationship that was really hard on me emotionally. And so, I was just starting to put the pieces of myself back together. Mm-hmm. And then to have my hair fall out was such a blow. And all of the work I had done to slowly build myself back was just wiped out. And I hit my lowest of lows, the darkest place I've ever been in my entire life. Mm-hmm. And, people tend to say, well, it's just hair. And it's not. To that person, I want to hand them a shaver and say, shave your hair, shave your eyebrows, shave your eyelashes, and then go out in public like that, and then get back to me. As a female, a single female in my 30s, it was just crushing to have that happen. And I felt like I was losing my femininity. my identity, it was like strand by strand, my identity was gone. And it's such a surreal feeling to look in the mirror and the face that you've seen for 30 plus years of your life is not the same face looking back at you, you know, and to have it happen in just a matter of months, like there was no leeway, nothing. It was just like, boom, gone. And so
Wow.
it was hard. Yeah, it was really difficult. It was, you know, that feeling of loss, it had just consumed my life, and it was so lonely because, well, I had an amazing support system. Unless you've been through hair loss, you don't understand hair loss. And
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody that had been through it.
Mhm.
So,
I
yeah.
so agree with that. And so my story is a little different, but similar in the sense that so when I started losing my hair, I was also, I don't know, I think I was still in the relationship, and then
Mhm.
I was out of the relationship. So I thought that I had lost my hair due to that relationship.
Yep.
So I didn't make anything of it. I was like, well, that was so toxic and so stressful that like that's just why I'm losing my hair. So it's not a big deal. And of course, when, I was told that I have alopecia, I was in complete denial. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm losing my hair because of this stressful relationship and I'm done
Yes.
with it. And so it's going to come back. And um, I still, so I have androgenic alopecia. So I still have some hair, but I can't imagine like what you're describing of like going from like hair to no hair. That has to be, and especially like you said, as a single woman in your 30s,
Hmm.
because
Yeah,
that,
being
I
single
mean,
in your
and I
30s is hard
that
enough.
like 20s, like both, like all of it, like 20s, 30s, it doesn't matter. But as a
Right.
woman, I think that it's just devastating at some point.
Yeah, and you grow up with like this expectation of women are supposed to have gorgeous, beautiful hair. And now in this uh, lifetime of social media, you know, everybody has perfect hair, which now we all know it's extensions and wigs and all of that. But like you see that as the epitome of beauty. And
Mhm.
then it's like, well, who's going to love me when, you know, my wig comes off and my makeup comes off and now I have no hair, no eyebrows? Like, who's going to want to come home to that when they could go to someone with hair? And those were the thoughts running through my head, which I realized is not, it is not, doesn't define a good person to be with.
Mhm.
But as a woman, and I feel like it's a common fear amongst Alopecians, is just who's going to love me like this, you know?
That is definitely something that runs through your mind a lot.
Yep.
So you said that you hit like your lowest low, and
Mhm.
then you came back up. So like how was that process and what helped you?
Yeah, definitely. So when I say my lowest low, it meant to me, it, and this may sound crazy because it is hair, but like for me, just going through my day, I I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I didn't want to be alive anymore. And every day it was a fight for me. Yeah, every day was just such a fight for me because I had been through so much. Like that relationship took so much out of me. And then going through this, I just felt like bad things kept happening to me. And I was like, I can't take any more pain. Like I had hit my threshold of pain. And so every day I was like, when I would drive to work, I was just like, God, I wish a semi would just end it because I can't handle this anymore. And then I would come home and set my stuff down and just lay in a ball on the floor and just cry. And I cried myself to sleep every night. And I just felt so disappointed by life. And just, you know, I thought of myself as a good person and I didn't understand why this was happening to me. And it was so much pain.
Mhm.
And so I, you know, held a lot of that in. My friends and family knew I was going through something, but I never fully expressed to them the thoughts that were happening in my head. I never expressed to them that I spent the majority of my time crying every day. You know, I would cry driving into work, pull it together, work through my day, sometimes run in the bathroom, have another cry there, cry on the way home. And it was just so much. And I have done therapy before in my life, pre-alopecia, because as I said, I've dealt with anxiety and depression my whole life. And to me, the reason that I did therapy before was because of this constant crying, can't move on type of emotion. So I knew that I needed to do therapy, but I resisted it for a long time until one day I just realized, like, life is more than this, and I can try to find some level of happiness again. And I really did want to find a companion and find my happiness again. So I decided to start therapy. And I mean, I 10 out of 10 recommend therapy for anybody. You know, I know there's such a stigma associated with it, but God, I hate that stigma because it's so important. Like, anybody can live a happy life, and it's out there for you. And it's like, therapy helps you get there. It helps you work through all of those brain blocks that are holding you back. I went on medication for my anxiety because my anxiety is always through the roof, and like, that helps me so much. So I was doing those steps, but still struggling nonetheless, but getting better. I had gotten out of the point where I was crying constantly and I was starting to make progress. And then in 2017, I decided to share my alopecia for the first time on my Facebook page. So I did that, and it was like, I was so scared, but I made the post, and the support was overwhelming. I got hundreds of comments from friends and family just reaching out and cheering me on, and it was unbelievable. And in that moment, I was riding such a high, and then it seemed like I crashed after that, where it was like, okay, well, this happened, but I still feel sad. So now what, you know? And then about a month or two after that, I ended up in the hospital with a massive pulmonary embolism, and which is a blood clot in your lungs. And I learned that if it had gotten any bigger or moved, that I would have died. And it was like this transformative moment for me. It took me a couple months after that to have that, because it was so surreal that that was happening. But a couple months after that, I turned 35. And I just had this thought in my head of like, you know, you have been so scared of turning 35 your whole life, but you almost didn't make it there. And like, what a blessing it is to have a birthday, you know? Like, it's like, oh, I'm getting old, but no, it's such a blessing to get a birthday every year. Such a blessing, because there's so many people that don't get that. And so it finally clicked. Like, it finally clicked in here that I can either choose to let alopecia sink me, or I can choose to soar. And I just made a decision that I'm going to start living my very best life, whatever that means. And that's what I've been doing ever since. So it's been a journey.
You almost made me cry. That I totally felt that. Yeah, I felt the same way at some point, and I think that it was literally that. It was like I was either gonna die or I was gonna live with this. Like, there was no other option. Like, it was over, or you're gonna make a decision and you're gonna live with us. Like, that's how low I felt too. So I think that, you know, and I was thinking about this when I got this topper last week, because I was like, oh my God, like, did I really just experience 10 years or like, maybe it was less. I mean, I don't even know. I lost account anymore, but like, you know, I didn't start wearing hair until 5 years ago. And so I was like, I could have done this so long ago. Like, how many years did I literally waste at being miserable about this when I could have just gotten this beautiful hair?
Totally.
It's like, no, like, what did I do? But then at the same time, like, that's what made me who I am today. So I don't think I would have changed that anyway, right? Because this is what made me strong and, like, you know, just the person that I am right now.
Right. No, totally get that.
Yeah. So how has this impacted your relationships? Because I know you came out of, you know, a not healthy relationship. Like, after that, when you shifted,
Mhm.
How has it been for your relationships and, everything else?
Yeah, so it's funny. So when I turned 35, that transformative moment, I was like, okay, I'm going to give this online dating thing a try. But, as a woman in my 30s, like when I was in college, we dated the you go to a bar and you get some number, or there was none of these swipe apps and stuff, and it's so intimidating. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to go on some dates, but I was still so intimidated by that whole process, and the process of having to explain to someone I look one way during the day and I look another way during the night.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be wearing my wig at night because that's not comfortable. So it was a lot for me, a lot of fear for me to be like, okay, how am I going to tell a person? When am I going to tell a person? Am I like a catfish if I don't tell them right away? So these thoughts were like constantly running in my head. And so I did go on a couple online dates. And they actually went fine. Like when I told them about my alopecia, neither guy had any issue with it. One told me he was lactose intolerant. So I was like, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. And the other one, it was actually hilarious because we were on a date and he was wearing a hat and he was like, full disclosure, I don't have hair. And I was like, full disclosure, neither do I. Yeah. But neither of those worked out. And honestly, I started getting to this point where I was like, I really don't care if I'm single forever because I'm just trying to find things that make me happy. And in that moment, like I was loving going to brunch with my friends and having so much fun. And I had gotten a new apartment that was so cute. And I was just like enjoying life during that year. I started, yeah, I think I started my Baldy Boo blog and all of that. So it was all just so exciting and fun that I didn't feel like I needed to have a man to make me happy because I was finding my own happiness within me. And I think that was key for when my boyfriend appeared in my life. So my boyfriend who I'm dating now, and we've been together about a year and a half now, he had always kind of been in and out of my life. And then all of a sudden he got it together and realized that he wanted to be with me. But I say that I think the universe timed it perfectly because if he had decided he wanted to be with me at any other point in my journey, I would have depended on him to fill that happiness in me. But at the point that we became boyfriend and girlfriend, I was happy on my own. And I knew that no matter what happens in this relationship, I had my own happiness that belonged to me. And it was not tied to another person. It just added to the happiness I had. And that was so crucial because it's such a freeing feeling not to depend on someone for love, but just to accept it and enjoy it and add it to your life. And he is so supportive. Like, he doesn't care that when I'm no makeup or anything. He's so supportive of everything I do. He'll be my Instagram photographer when I need it. Like, anytime I make a ridiculous TikTok, he's like, yeah, that's great. So he's just so amazing and wonderful. And I just feel so blessed that at no point do I ever feel like I'm less than, and that he could go out and, I mean, he could go out and find someone better for every person or someone better, but like, I never feel like, oh, he's going to leave me because I don't have hair. And that's such a wonderful feeling to be thriving
Right. Oh my God, that's an amazing story.
in.
And it's so funny because I also can totally relate. So
Uh-huh.
I was in a car accident. When was that? Yeah, it has to be like a little over 5 years ago.
Mhm.
And I had to stay home for about 3 months.
Mm.
And on those 3 months, there was a lot of soul searching and like
Yeah.
questioning myself and like, what am I going to do with my life? And like all these things. Because I was living by myself and I couldn't leave my house. I couldn't drive, nothing. Like I just, You need to stay home. You need to bed rest. That's it. And then that's when I decided, well, you know what? I'm not gonna meet anybody at home.
Right.
So let me go online, and that's how I met my husband. But then when I met him, I was also at that point where I was ready. Like I was just like, I'm gonna live my life with this, right? And
Yep.
I think I met him like 2 to 3 weeks before I had my appointment to get my like very first hair system that I ever got.
Yep.
And so he met me with no hair, and then like 3 weeks later, I had like whatever I was using at the time. But I think, like you said, is so appropriate. Like I think we get to connect with our partners when we're ready. Like it's just like
Yep.
before that, like you were just not ready. Like I don't think that I could have been in this amazing relationship that I have right now if I met him earlier.
Yep. Totally agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, and I just love what you're saying of him being super supportive and everything. My husband, same thing, is like amazing. So I
Oh,
think that it's so important, and also super important to not, for those of you that are still like, do I go in a relationship or not? I think it's really owning it, like own your hair loss
yes.
before you go into the relationship,
Mhm.
right? Because you don't need to apologize for this. You don't need
Yes.
to be embarrassed or apologetic or like, no, like this is who you are. So like go into the relationship owning this. I think
Yep.
it's so key.
Yeah, you must know your worth and know that your hair loss does not make you worthless. Like, you are worth love. You are worth kindness. You are worth being treated like a queen. Like, you deserve that. And the fact that you don't have hair doesn't mean you don't deserve that. And you don't have to settle for less than that.
Absolutely. And so I know that you are like me. I used to be a corporate warrior. So in the corporate world and like just was a working woman, like how does it been for you? Like how has it changed? Did people ask you about it? Like how do you navigate that?
Yes. So when I first started losing my hair, it was super stressful. Um, at first, I wasn't wearing any type of hair, so my hair kept thinning every day. And so some people noticed, but some people didn't. And then I got my first piece, which was a topper, but it was not a nice topper. It was kind of a hot mess. And I was constantly so scared that somebody was going to know. And it was this big secret. And only my coworkers that were my close friends knew, but nobody else knew. And so then I got my wigs, and I would always be wearing wigs, and it was just always just frustrating because, sometimes wigs aren't comfortable, and it was just like, what if somebody can tell? Or sometimes you're wearing a wig and by the end of the day, like it starts here and then ends here. Or maybe one day your part's here. Like you
Yeah,
just never
right.
know,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just remember, like, it can be a lot to navigate a wig at first, especially if you're not great with styling and all of that. And some days I would just like look at it in the mirror and be like, oh, I look so wiggy. Everyone's gonna know I hate this, and just feel so frustrated. But the moment that I shared on my Facebook what I was going through, and a lot of my coworkers on my Facebook, it was as if like this weight was lifted off my shoulders. Like there was no secret anymore. Like I wear wigs, and I started to get comfortable talking about it. So maybe someone would be like, oh, I like your hair. And I'd be like, oh, it's a wig actually. And just like tell them about it. And what I learned is people are so interested. Like it's not, there's nothing to be ashamed of. People love hearing stories because everybody's gone through some level of struggle in their life, whether you can see it or not. And they love seeing a person thriving regardless of what they've been through. And they love hearing the road that it took them on. And so it was just a great way to connect with people. And so it became common-ish knowledge that I wore wigs, but last September, I made a decision to come to work without my wig on for the very first time in honor of Alopecia Awareness Month.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I sent an email out to some of my coworkers just saying, hey, I know some of you know, but some of you may not. Like, I have alopecia. I'm coming to work without a wig tomorrow. I'm not sick. I don't have cancer. It's just an autoimmune condition. And if any of you want to wear blue for support, please do. And I'd love to take some pictures with all of you. And so the day came, and I was shaking and so scared and so nervous. And I get to work, and it was like a sea of blue. It was, I will never be able to put that experience into words, because it was so wonderful. Like, the amount of people that came up to me and talked to me and supported me, and it was just such a wonderful feeling to know I am free from these chains of hiding this disease. Like, I can do this. Like, I can, like, this is life now. Like, in this moment, I am the strongest version of myself that I've ever been, which is so crazy, because it took me from my weakest to my strongest, and I am the happiest I've ever been. I have the most purpose in life that I've ever had. And I never thought alopecia could do that. I thought alopecia was going to destroy my life, and it's instead given me my life.
Right?
Yeah.
And you have made me cry throughout the whole video. It's so bizarre. Okay. So yeah, no, that's exactly how I feel. And I totally feel what you're saying. And that's exactly what happened to me. So I went from like absolute depression, not wanting to live, like not wanting to do anything else.
Yeah.
Like, right now, like it's literally my purpose to make sure that no other women or man or anybody, any kid, all the children that are going through this do not suffer that pain, because there is no pain to be had. Like it's kind of like, I don't know, having something else, whatever it is, like you said, everybody else has something. Like when I started talking about it, people that I met from in college, they were like, oh my God, you're so brave. Like, thank you for speaking up. Like, this is how I feel about my blah. Like all these people started talking about what they had. And I'm like, really? I had no idea. And that's just the way it is. Like, everybody has something that they've struggled with, and they're just not sharing. So I really think that we need to do whatever it takes, so like nobody else goes through this pain. And that's really what motivates me, is I don't want anybody else to go through that. Like, if I can share with you what I've learned in the last 13 years, there you go. Like, take it. Please take it and run with it. Like, don't spend 10 years experimenting, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's
totally
really
agree.
So tell me about your blog, because it's super cool. So I want everybody to hear about it. Like, what are you thinking? What's your vision? What are you sharing there?
Yeah, definitely. So I like how my natural reaction is to move my hair out of my face when I'm not wearing my wigs. It's just such a habit. Okay. So my blog came from the fact that after a couple Facebook posts about my journey, I had people say, like, I'm good at expressing myself via these posts, so maybe, I should start a blog. And I had actually tried earlier on, but at that point I was so angry still about my alopecia that it just ended up being these rage posts. And I just didn't want anything to do with that. But I decided that, sometimes the world is so exhausting. There's so much anger, there's so much judgment. And I didn't feel like I was doing anything to make the world better. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to do something to contribute more than what I was doing. And I was like, well, I have my story, and sometimes people are interested in it. And maybe if I can help a couple people that are going through it too, that could be how I give back a bit. Mm-hmm. So I just decided, I started this blog. It was, my original iteration of it was so silly. It was like on this green font, and it always had these random toenail fungus ads on it. I don't even know how those popped up on there. And I was just like, you got to start somewhere sometimes. I didn't want to overthink it. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. So I just started writing out things. And for a solid year, I was posting every single week and just really walked through my journey, what it was like at the beginning, what it was like to lose my eyebrows, what it was like getting microblading, dating, like, everything. And I just like dumped on this blog. And through that, and through my corresponding Ball Debut Instagram page, I've just met wonderful humans like you, where it's like there's this whole massive hair loss community of amazing, badass women who are at all different stages of their hair loss journey. And there's just so much comfort in knowing you're not going through it yourself, and just seeing people thriving. It's like it gives you inspiration, and then seeing people who are at places that you used to be at, it gives you purpose to help them know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's not always sad, and it's not always like that. And you can get to a point where you can live your best life, even if it means you'll never have hair again.
Yeah. So what if somebody told you like, okay, I'm going to give you your hair back.
Mm-hmm.
Would you take
it? I mean, I wouldn't say no.
It's a tough question, but you know.
Yeah. No. I mean, at this point, if they said I can give you your hair back and it will never fall out again, I would take it. Yeah.
I think that's the key, right? It's like not wanting to go through that again. I don't think it's much about getting the hair back, because I think I will also take it too. Yep. But it's like not like knowing that it's gonna stay forever.
Yep. And that's the thing now, that's my new anxiety, because like I have all of this and it's like, okay, could it come back? Yes. But could it start to come back and fall out? Yes. And so I feel so scared to feel excited that there's any type of growth happening there, because I would much rather stay in the place I'm at now than get excited and get my hair back and have it taken away from me again, you know?
Yeah. And then for me personally, what I'm dealing with lately is that, you know, through these interviews and, you know, the past summit and this, I'm speaking with women that already had children, and they're like, oh my God, when I was pregnant, all my hair came back and it was so great. And then like my child was, you know, blah, and then I lost it all again. And it's like, no.
I know.
Like, I would love for my hair to grow back, but I don't want to lose it again. Like,
yes.
for it not to come back. Like, I don't know that I'm ready to experience that again.
Yeah.
Even though like alopecia is very cyclical, and I have actually very recently, just end of last year, experienced a lot of regrowth to the point that I like there was one day that I felt comfortable to just not put it back for like a weekend. And it's just, you know, it all comes back. It's like the first day in school. Like you remember everything, you know, like so that first day that I saw it, and like I was like, oh my God, and my sister was there and she was like, you healed yourself, like, you know, and you're like so excited. And then the next day I woke up and then you just like hit this reality of like knowing like maybe not, like, yes, like, you know, it's better, but you know, like you deep down, you know, it's not true. Like,
early on in my journey, there was a 4 months time frame where my hair started to grow again. I said it was my little yarmulke because it was like right here on my head, and then it fell out in 1 week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so after that, I was like, screw that. I don't come back unless you're going to come back and stay.
No, I agree. It's like it's such a tease, you know.
Yeah.
So what's your day to day now? Because I see you're not wearing hair, but you're still wearing wigs.
Yes.
So like, are you like in and out all day? You take it off when you don't feel like just whenever? Like, what's your day to day?
Yep. So pre-COVID, when I was actually going into the office, I would wear my wig going to work. I actually like to wear it working out too. And for me, that's just more of a comfort of I don't have to think about my hair loss while I'm working out. And also my head sweats so much. So if I don't wear a wig when I work out, it's just like curling down my face when you don't have eyebrows to catch it. Yeah. So I would wear it to the gym and then go to work. I'd wear a different one to work. And then the second I walk in the door, I'd rip it off even before my bra, because it's just like time to relax. But now that I'm working from home, it's a little bit different. I do tend to wear it throughout the day, but the nice thing is the second it gets annoying, I just take it off and I just keep it next to me. And then when I get on a conference call, I put it back on. I could easily not wear it, but I think it's just one of those things where, I feel confident and I like wearing wigs and I think it's fun. And some days I'm wearing a long one and some days I'm wearing a short and sassy one. And so I just have fun with it. I think when it comes to wearing wigs, like it's important to know that there are no rules. You don't have to wear a wig and you don't have to not wear a wig. You can do whatever makes you feel happiest and most comfortable and confident in that moment. And whatever that is what's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me about women that have inspired you, like before you started, like, coming out and talking about this. Like, was there somebody that you're like, oh my God, if I didn't see this person, I don't think I would have ever talked about this?
Yes. So do you know Kylie? And I'm going to totally screw up her last name. I think it's like,
name would it be?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. She was the reason why I ever posted on my Facebook, because she had this picture of her where it was her back and she had all these words written on it about alopecia. And she posted that. And I was like, I would love to do something like that. And so I had my friend write on my back, and I think I wrote like loss, strength, healing. And that was the picture that was included in my post on Facebook. So she was the one that inspired me to start talking about my story and sharing my story. And so she was definitely the first Alopecian that made me realize, like, okay, like she had a husband and all of these things. I'm like, okay, like, I mean, this is not an end all be all. This is a choice of how you want to react to this disease.
Yeah. And you get to live a full life. You can have
Yeah.
Absolutely. So with that, what will be like the last words for our audience that you want to leave us with? Like one piece of advice that you want to leave us with today?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say if you are going through hair loss and you are having a tough time right now, first know that is completely normal and it is okay. It is okay to feel sad. It is okay to grieve the loss of your hair. It is a piece of you that is not there anymore. And it's own those feelings and feel them. Don't bottle them up. Find somebody to talk to about it, whether it be friends, whether it be a therapist. And then once you've gotten through that, really know that your happiness is coming and you just have to go get it. And it's just up to you at this point to find a way to thrive in this moment. Go to therapy, get the help you need, and then live life, because there are people around us that would give anything to wake up tomorrow, and you get to.
Mm-hmm.
And just enjoy that blessing. It's such a gift to be able to wake up every morning and live your absolute best life in that moment. I know it is hard, and that is why people like us are out here. If it is hard, find me, message me. I will talk to you. Like, I will always have your back through this process, because it sucks, but it gets better. And you just need to hang on to that strand of hope that it's going to get better, because I promise you, it will get better. Do not lose the faith. Your light at the end of the tunnel is coming, and your life is going to be so amazing, more amazing than you could have ever imagined.
Yes. But you have to choose it.
Yes, you have to choose it.
Yes.
Yep.
So where can they find you?
Yes. So Instagram is baldyboo, and my blog is baldyboo.com, and I'm on Facebook, baldyboo. So look up baldyboo and you will find me.
All right. Well, thank you, baldyboo,
yes,
for being here with me today. I just absolutely love meeting you. And I don't know, I'm pretty sure we're going to be around each other for a long time. I just have that feeling. So
totally agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I'll see you guys in the next interview.
Thank you. Bye.